past the PAT. No good on the extra point, so a letdown there, and this will stay a 6-point ball game. Now he's back out there to boom this one away, maybe with some frustration after the PAT miss. And they're going to mark that where it went out of bounds, so really good starting field position up past the 40-yard line.
Well, not one you see often there as he fails to keep it between the sidelines, and that is a penalty every time, and going to give this offense better field position.
And it's every kickoff guy's nightmare, isn't it? Because you don't see yourself doing this, and most of the time you don't. It's absolutely a mishit, and now your team pays the price. Bad field position for your defense.
On the toss, here's Allen. And he is met quickly in the backfield. Down he goes, folded like a lawn chair. So time to start going in the other direction as they come up now 3rd and long. To throw is Brady. And he cannot get rid of it. The NFC getting in there for the sack. The Fridge, William Perry, in there to get him for a loss of 9 yards. And that, well, coming up in the second half, we'll run through John's post-coaching triumphs. But for now, we present a very special tribute to the man of the hour, narrated by Trey Mosley. The AFC going to get the football first here as we are back underway from Oakland in the John Madden Legacy game. Well, certainly not what they wanted out of the locker room here as they'll start defensively at the 40-yard line.
So now the possession will begin at the 35 after the errant kickoff.
Well, that's certainly one way to avoid a dangerous kick returner, I suppose, but you are giving up extra yardage, that's for sure. Because if you put it out of the end zone, they start at the 25. So at a minimum, you're giving up 10 yards to the offense.
Officially, it's a 1-yard loss. That's going to bring up 2nd and 11. Now Brady. And his throw's going to be incomplete.
So now, Charles, to pick up the story we've been telling, John Madden at 42, he had just completed a 10-year stint as the coach of the Raiders. He wants to step away a bit from the grind of coaching, but he doesn't want to step away from the game of football. So he ends up signing on with CBS in 1979 to try his hand at broadcasting. And much like his coaching career, he was pretty much an instant success.
Partner, he really connected with the people right from the start, and people may not remember, he wasn't even on the #1 team in the beginning. He worked his way up. But the same things that made him a great coach made him a great broadcaster. The ability to show the big picture, yet break it down into the details. That's what he did with his teams. That's what he did with the people. That way, he was simple to understand, yet insightful for viewers. And he did with that big personality that he had, one that connected with everyone.
After the loss to start out, here's 2nd and 11.
Here's Favre to throw.
This one into the hands of Kittle, the tight end.
So for Coach Madden, Charles, by 1981, his broadcasting career is really taking off. He's elevated to the network's #1 booth that calls all the big matchups. And he gets the plum assignment of calling Super Bowl 16, 49ers and Bengals, and he's teamed up with Pat Summerall. And that pairing ultimately would go on to be one of the most influential in sports broadcasting history.
Influential not just in us listening to them. Remember, they went on and called 8 Super Bowls together. But how they put together kind of the template that all of us broadcasters follow now. Sitting down with the head coaches and the quarterbacks and the stars of each team before a ball game to get extra information. And the way that those two paired together, Pat Summerall, short, concise, to the point, and turned it over to Coach Madden to fill in all the big details.
One of the bigger plays in the game thus far. The crowd getting into it as we come up on a big 3rd down. Completes it to the tight end, Kittle. And they're able to get this one across the 35. 5th catch of the afternoon, and that gives him a 1st down.
As you mentioned, CD, talking about John Madden, the broadcaster, he called 8 Super Bowls with Pat Summerall, 3 more with Al Michaels later in his career. He spent nearly 3 decades in the booth all told. And not only was he beloved for his mannerisms, we know that, but he was an innovator as well.
Yeah, Brandon, you talk about things like the telestrator, which totally became identified with him, and now it's a staple for all analysts to have in the booth. And then you think about things like turducken on Thanksgiving, when he used words like boom and pow. He helped create the All-Madden team. He was a very popular commercial pitch.
Taking it right down Broadway. Touchdown! Cooper Kupp, 56 yards. And they are able to add on to their advantage. And sometimes those slants, they can be so tough to defend after the catch. It just happens so quickly.
And really, what gets set up there is how quickly everything happens. Ball's out of the hands of the passer in a hurry, and he just takes it and goes.
And he went all the way into the end zone. The NFC going to line up and go for two here. They'll try and run it here. And he is not going to get there. Boy, even with a Hall of Famer carrying the ball, the defense comes up big, and the try for two is thwarted.
Well, partner, since this new two-point rule came into play, offenses spend a lot more time working on it. That means the defenses are doing the exact same thing.
Right after the touchdown to extend their lead, now maybe opening the door a little bit there by allowing starting field position at the 40.
Well, you don't see that often. He just mishit it, and it goes out of bounds.
Well, I know sitting up here, and I'm looking at you, and you're looking at me, and I know we're both thinking the same thing. Isn't it easy enough to keep it between the sidelines? Because unless you're intentionally doing it for some reason, well, that's a costly mishit, and now you put your team in a bad spot.
Now, CD, we did get a little ahead of ourselves talking about John Madden, the broadcaster in the 90s and 2000s, because there was another product during that time period that he became quite famous for, and it's something that you and I know a little bit about, and that's the video game that bears his name. Originally John Madden Football when it was first released back in the late 1980s, and now known the world over simply as Madden.
And Coach saw this originally as a way to teach the game of football. The early designs were for a 7-on-7 game, but he said no chance. He would not sign off on it. He wanted to be as realistic as possible. He told him, call me when it's 11-on-11. And he got his wish.
Yeah, after that debut, Madden the video game continued to pick up steam through the 90s in a big way, and John himself, many will remember, was a commentator for the series for many years. And now here we are in the 2020s, and this game has sold somewhere in the neighborhood of 150 million copies. So, CD, you look at the accumulation of John Madden's achievements in the world of football, the coaching success, the Super Bowl title, the incredible career as a broadcaster with 12 Emmy Awards, Madden the video game. It was very fitting back in 2006 that John Madden got the call to be enshrined into the Pro Football Hall of Fame.
A more deserving person you will not find. He gave an incredible speech on that day, Brandon. So many of his former Raider players were in attendance. He talked about how he envisioned that when the last person turns off the lights in the hall every night, that the bus talk football amongst themselves. And what a discussion that might be.
Yeah, he finished his speech by saying, today feels like the second time in my life that I'm being carried off on the shoulders of others, yet instead of off the field, it's into the Hall of Fame. This has been the sweetest ride of them all. And oh, that's going to wind up incomplete. Nearly their first pick of the game, but it does bring up fourth down.
Now Brady got to have this one. And it's going to be batted down, and we'll go the other way with the football. The defense can stop it twice more as they take a knee here. Now the AFC going to take a timeout. It's their second, as the clock will stop with 18 seconds remaining. It's a second down run with Sanders. And he finds enough of an opening to get this one back up to his 20. Now the defense will burn their third and final timeout. And as the two teams talk it over on their respective sidelines, we take a break. And they'll indeed take a knee.
So it's a win here for the NFC. Just an incredible afternoon of football and remembering the life of John Madden. And before we go, one final message. And for all of us at EA Sports, this one's for you, Coach.